Good evening, everybody. Finally sat down. You can just see the shadowy outline of Jack over there, eating the remains of half a watermelon. He absolutely adores watermelon. I've made him up a little bed over there in the corner. Brought him in from the porch because it's very, very cold tonight. So he has a few favourite things down there. He's got his cushion. He's got an old pink towel that he's particularly fond of. And then he has a woolen blanket on top of a little bed. So he's nice and cosy. And he's got his food there as well. I should really turn on the overhead lights, but I don't want to, because it's just so nice and cosy in here. It's been a very cold day. I've been over to the post office and I've posted some more calendars and some more books. I still have calendars left, so anyone who wants to make an order, that's greatly appreciated. And I've been just busy all day. You know that old song, busy doing nothing, working the whole day through? Well, that's what I feel I've been at. Busy doing nothing. Very busy this morning. Managed to get a lot done. But nothing really to show for it other than the fact that the cottage is fairly tidy. You know, you just get days like this. And the days are so short. So short. I'm sort of counting now. I'm counting down the days towards the solstice. Because, of course, it's just 2 weeks away now. 14 days. And so it's Friday fortnight. Today fortnight. And you've got this beautiful 3 days of stillness. It's probably the best way to describe it. Just 3 days of stillness where you have the sun just at this kind of static point. And then the ascent begins. So each day the sun rises a little bit higher on the horizon. And the day is a little bit longer. Might only be a minute longer. Maybe 2 minutes longer. And for the first few weeks it's hardly noticeable. And then it's quite sudden that you begin to notice it. Sort of around the middle to the end of January. Depends on the weather. If there's bright skies, you do notice it more, because obviously you don't have anything obscuring that light. And if there's snow, you notice it more, because you've got this incredible reflective quality. And then, Imach, the first day of spring in the west of Ireland. It's glorious. And that's everything, spring is quite tangible because you can smell it. You smell spring before you see it. There's this beautiful earthy smell rises up from the soil, and within that soil is all the life. The life is there. It's in the soil, it's in the water, it's in the air. And you begin to get this beautiful smell of spring, scent of spring. It's wonderful. So, but of course, to live in the present now, we're just going towards that beautiful solstice. And I'm hoping now this weekend to get the cottage decorated. I've been sort of holding off a little bit because I've just so enjoyed the anticipation of it. You know, and I think a lot of the pleasure in festivals and festivities and celebrating is the anticipation. Because you see, once you've got those lights up and the greenery in and the holly and the ivy and all the beautiful aspects of decorating the cottage for the festivities, once that's there, the anticipation then is gone. And then you're just anticipating the actual day, or the visitors, or the sharing. But for me, the delight is in the anticipation. Now, you see Jack, he will actually scrape out, are you enjoying that, darling? He will scrape out every last little bit of watermelon flesh. And you can just see, let me just bring the camera over. Excuse me, that's it. Just bring the camera over and you can see, look. He's scraping out every last little bit. He loves it. Absolutely loves it. So I did a few practical things today. Besides going to the post office, I went down to the well and I collected 3 big flagons of spring water. And I filled up my spring water dispenser in the kitchen, which is a glass dispenser, because it's always best to take the water out of the plastic as soon as possible. Not always practical, but whenever it can be done. And I've virtually finished cleaning up the barn now. I think part of the decorating the cottage again is to do with the preparation. And I remember as a child, my father would go around sort of touching up paint. So for 2 or 3 days, you know, there was a don't touch the doors, don't touch. He had gone around with, you know, the paintbrush and the paint and kind of touching up the scuff marks and the chips and washing down the walls. There was a lot of preparation put in place for Christmas. Yeah. On one of the blogs on the website, and in fact, if you just put the keywords in followed by Bealtaine Cottage, it will come up in your search engine. But in one of the blogs, it's got, I think it's called A Childhood Christmas by Patrick Kavanagh. But that's one of my favourite poems. Because Patrick Kavanagh, who was a wonderful Irish poet, managed to evoke for me that incredible sense of what it was like to be a child at Christmas. And in particular, when you marry Christmas with poverty, you've got the essence of Christmas in many ways, because Christmas is a very special time, so it would be even more remarkable in your memory for being a time of abundance, whereas perhaps the rest of the year was a time of just impoverishment all around. So some of the aunts and uncles would bestow selection boxes on us children, you know, and that may be the only time in the whole year when you'd have more than one bar of chocolate to play with. And the Christmas pudding, of course, the pudding. That was usually made 6 weeks before Christmas to give all the flavours time to infuse and time for the actual pudding to mature. And that was wonderful. That particular evening when the pudding was made, my mother, my grandmother and my great aunt would get together. It was like the women seemed to go from house to house in our little area, sort of sharing this special preparation. There was a great deal of ceremony attached, and I think it was because the ingredients were so expensive. It was the only time of the year when you'd have all those ingredients together and be making something as luxurious as a Christmas pudding and a Christmas cake. And the aspect of Christmas now which disheartens me a little bit is when I go out into the shops, into the supermarkets, and well, basically all the shops now are supermarkets or big stores in one way or another, and you see factory food. I call it factory food. You see all these Christmas cakes and Christmas puddings and cakes and chocolate, and they're turned out in such a mass production that they all seem to taste the same. There's a sickening taste from them all. It's quite depressing, really, because it's like it's like, buying a beautiful coat and bringing it home and finding that the buttons are falling off and the seams are opening where it hasn't been made properly. It may have been packaged beautifully, but it hasn't been made properly. There's been no care and attention or love given to it. And that's very much the same with food these days. And that's ripped the heart out of Christmas for a lot of people. And of course, a lot of children now in the Western world have no real idea of Christmas other than it's a time of excess. And excess in the most vulgar way. So, I try to stay out of the supermarkets as much as possible at this time of the year. And tomorrow and Sunday are sort of days off for me, really. I've always regarded the weekend as like time out. So, when I was out in the garden today, there just seemed to be so much moss everywhere. This beautiful moss is all over the place. And I thought, well, I must bring some of that into the house as well. So I had this idea of putting moss all over the windowsills and creating just a lovely sort of a woodland feel to the inside of the cottage. You know the old saying, less is more. I think to have the very minimum at this time of the year allows you to experience the maximum. It's a strange thing to say, I know, but I feel as though I'm speaking to people who understand that. Now there's a little bit of a storm coming in. Nothing with a name to it, but it's quite windy. You can just see out the window there. The clematis is waving about a bit in the wind outside. It's quite windy and it's quite cold, and promised cold as well for the rest of tonight and the weekend. So, just to say blessings to you all, and a huge thank you to everyone who's ordered calendars and books. It's given me a great lift financially, and managed to ensure that most of my bills are paid before Christmas. So thank you, and blessings to you all. Oh, yes, I did actually post some new photographs on the website, detailing the little charms that I have to post out as a gift with the calendars and the books. So do have a wee look at them, and blessings.